Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Archduck, and welcome to my 2-year anniversary special on YouTube. Now, this time I'm going to be covering future things I'm going to do in 2025 with games and different other channel things, and then Game Awards, which you could skip to that in the next available timestamp, I believe. 2024 has been very entertaining. I started with 612 subscribers. Beginning of 2024, went up to 2,000 subscribers. I reached 1,000 subscribers in 2024, which is a huge milestone, and so is 2,000. And this is the current number right here. In this first part, I want to talk about future plans, so let me get to that real quick. So if you know from the last anniversary special, I highlighted different games I want to play in 2024, and I'm going to do the same thing but in 2025 for these. First of all, I think Joy Creation is going to come out sometime in June, so I want to play that, and Secret Mimic is confirmed on June 13th, so that's going to be 2 big games in June. I also think Jurassic Park Survival is going to happen in the summer. It might happen in June as well. So there's 3 big games that are going to happen in 2025 in June that are going to be very important for the channel. Besides that, Directive 8020 is going to happen. It's confirmed, but this is wrong. I put August 2nd in this. It's supposed to be October 2nd, so that's going to happen in spooky season, October 2nd, right there. It's been confirmed finally. After a year of waiting, it's going to come out, which that's a decision-based horror game, so that'll be fun to do too. And another thing I'm anticipating is We Harvest Shadows. It was a great, amazing demo, and I can't wait to happen. It's a farming sim that's also a horror game. Besides that, I think the only things I want to talk about in this video is I think I might try to do a Patreon, because games, it turns out, can be expensive. $5 or $10 here or there adds up, so I might do a Patreon. Also in 2024, I started to do weekly voting things in the YouTube community tab to have votes for the games you guys want to see. I think that's a very smart idea, because it makes you guys let me know what you guys want to play. Now, let's move on to the Horror Game of the Year Awards. Now, here's something I thought you guys would enjoy, a Horror Game Awards for 2024. It's basically the games that I have played in 2024 that I thought were interesting and need awards of themselves. So there's going to be nominees and winners for each different category. So I hope you guys enjoy this. So the first award is going to be Scariest Game. This is the scariest game that I played all year. So nominees: SCP Containment Breach. There's multiple scary enemies. There's procedural game generation of the levels, which is super cool. And there's different levels of difficulty and mods to make it more versatile and scary. And with that level of difficulty, it's just, there's so many enemies that have different things that you need combat, and it's super scary. Next nominee, Amenti. There was one jump scare in there that made my soul leave my body when it happened, so I included that. Another one is the We Harvest Shadows demo. With this, it's very subtle horror, and it makes it unpredictable, and it's very scary as the game goes on. It just keeps on being more unpredictable. Next one is Saiko No Sutoka. This is a game where your anime girlfriend tries to keep you in a school, and she keeps on ambushing you like an ambush hunter. That's absolutely psychotic, and I love it. Next one is Fear the Moon. It's like a granny type game where there's a werewolf and you have to escape a home. And the winner of the Scariest Game is SCP Containment Breach. It's just the scariest. It's one of the oldest on this entry. It's just scary. There's just so much unpredictability and so much freedom with that. So it's not like structured jump scares or structured scares. It just happens throughout the game. So I think this is scariest. Next is Best Story. Now, this category is the best story game that I played all year. Nominees are Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It's the granddad of horror at this point. It was made in like 2011. It's the basis of how horror games are now, which is incredible. And it has a very in-depth, but not too in-depth for the player not to follow its story. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but there's a lot of messed up stuff, and it has a very in-depth story. Next is MiSide. It's hard to grasp, but it's in a fun way. Things slowly devolve into madness, and it's really a good psychological horror story that is very narrative driven, and I love it. Next is FNAF Into the Pit, Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. It's based on a book but it's faithfully adapted. And it's actually a really good Five Nights at Freddy's game. It's more in line with the older Five Nights at Freddy's games than most newer Five Nights at Freddy's games. It has a really good story to it, and it's based on a book. Then we have the Until Dawn remake. There's multiple twists. They make you care for all the characters, even the ones you dislike. And it's the basis for all decision-based horror games now, but they can't reach the level of Until Dawn. And this one was a really hard one to choose, but I chose Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It's a really good twist. The story still holds up even like a decade later, and it's like it's the grandfather of psychological horror. It innovated the psychological horror game genre very well to what most people do now. Next is Best Art Style. This is how a game looks, everything that goes into the art of a game. So the nominations are MiSide. It's an anime style, but the colors are very appealing to look at. There's a lot of contrast colors, and it looks 2D in a 3D environment. And the next one is Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. It's a 2D, 3D style. I've never seen it before, but it has like seamless transitions between the 2D and 3D style that makes it super enjoyable just to look at and play. The next one is Pumpkin Panic. It's a 2D autumn-like game that I like, and it's very cool looking textures in the game. And then we have Alone in the Dark. It's a gritty noir, and it has David Harbour, which is the guy from Stranger Things as Hopper, so it's great. And then it feels like you're in the 1930s Louisiana, and there's a whole bunch of dark crap going on, spooky stuff going on. And the winner is FNAF Into the Pit. The weenie, and the weenie is FNAF Into the Pit. Oh man. Anyway, I do FNAF Into the Pit because the art style was really good. I'd never seen a 2D/3D style like it, so it was very enjoyable to watch. Next, we have Best Voice Acting. A horror game is essential to have voice acting in it to make the emotion go into a game and make you feel the emotion in that game, because horror is a very emotional genre, so you had to feel it. So, nominations. MiSide. There was one voice actress that played like 10 different people, but they were the same character. Like there was 10 different of them that had 10 different personalities. Next one, the Until Dawn remake. Characters are very into the roles. As it is, you know, it's like a super well done horror game with a lot of money put into it. And you could feel the stakes that happen in the game. Next is We Harvest Shadows demo. This is some of the most emotional voice lines I have heard that make me feel what the main character feels. It's a very sad demo. And I instantly feel like I was part of the story from the beginning. The very first second, the voice acting made me feel like I was that character in this world. And then the last one is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Some truly twisted main character realizations occur that make you horrified based on the voice acting. Winner of the best voice acting is MiSide. Like I said, 10 different characters, at one voice actor with 10 different characters playing to the same character. It's wild. I never seen anything like it. Next is Best Non-Mainstream Game, which this is basically like an indie game that's not like is away from the mainstream. So it's like very indie that needs more recognition, I feel. So the nominees for that are Fear the Moon. I want to see more from this creator. It was a very fun game to play, and I had a primal fear from the werewolf the entire time. It was a different kind of feeling. And then Five Nights at Freddy's Return to Bloody Nights. Now this is a FNAF fan game, so it's not mainstream like FNAF is. It's a spin-off of it, but I feel like it needs to be recognized because of that. And it's one of the best FNAF fan games I have ever played. The winner is, I chose Fear the Moon. I want to see more from this creator. They need more recognition. Now, the most promising game coming based on the game demos I played in 2024. Nominations: We Harvest Shadows demo, a horror game farming sim that is subtle in its scares. Like I said before, very unconventional, but has Silent Hill inspirations, the creators said. I believe they said Silent Hill. And then Another one, Indigo Park Chapter 1. Indigo Park, it looks like a very fun mascot horror game genre, with the following chapters coming out eventually. It's a really fun time. It's not like Poppy Playtime or Garden of Ban or any of these other mascot horror games that are not FNAF that kind of like money grubbing hands come in a little bit to begin with. I know Poppy Playtime has changed a little bit since then. Indigo Park seems like it was it's different. I don't know how to explain it. It's different. And then next is the Joy Creation, Five Nights at Freddy's. It's a FNAF fan game, but it seems like it can have a whole bunch of depth that is much needed in the Five Nights at Freddy's genre. Let's be real, the FNAF lore is very confusing at this point. And I don't even know what's happening. It's pretty much, when a FNAF game comes out, it's just a game at this point. It doesn't even tie into lore. I have to look up stuff each time I play a FNAF game just to find out what's going on. And the winner is We Hover Shadows. This is a very promising game. I'm very interested in seeing a farming simulator game where you farm everything. And there's just scary horror that comes in. Seems like a fun idea. I think it's the most promising out of those three. Next. Most difficult game. First nomination, Oblitus Casa. I almost went insane playing this Five Nights at Freddy's Disney fan game. It took me over like 3 hours to complete the last nights, and I had to go dark mode at one point, turn off the lights, just to see what was going on in the shadows. And I could have stopped, but I don't, because I want to win. And the next one is SCP Containment Breach. Depending on the difficulty, even on the easiest, you can get soft locked if you're not careful, if you die. And if you save, and then like enemies right behind you or around the corner, you can get soft locked. And the hardest difficulty, you feel like you are in a Containment Breach in the SCP universe, which is terrifying. I tried Keter difficulty, and I died multiple times. I didn't even get past the starting area. It was bad. And the winner is Oblitus Casa. Screw this game. Never again. Next is the audience choice, which these are based on Steam reviews and also the popularity on my channel. But please let me know any other audience choice games that you saw me play this year in 2024 that you liked a lot. The nominations are going to be MiSide, has 87,000 Steam reviews at 98%. That is incredible for a horror game. That is incredible for a indie horror game. Next is Amnesia: The Dark Descent. It's old, so I get why it doesn't have as many Steam reviews. It's 19,000. It's still a lot, but it's 95%. So then there's FNAF Into the Pit, 9,000 at 95%. And then there's SCP Containment Breach. There's no Steam, but it's very popular on my channel, and it's very popular in general over the internet. And my choice, for audience choice, is MiSide, because 87,000 and 98%. That's amazing. That's great for an indie horror game. And now, what you've been waiting for, the best horror game of 2024 on my channel, what I played. The nominees: MiSide, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit, SCP Containment Breach, and We Hover Shadows, the demo. It was very hard to call, but they're all very good in their own right. And my decision is MiSide. Now I know, don't put me on a stake and burn me alive. I picked MiSide because it was between MiSide and SCP Containment Breach. They're both 3 to 4 hours to beat. They both have non-happy endings, as horror games probably should have. MiSide is a heavily story-driven game, and SCP Containment Breach is a player event-driven game. It's basically a narrative game versus an ultimate freedom game to decide. That makes it a very personal decision between the two, and I'm just really a sucker for good like narrative. What sold it for me is the MiSide ending transition, which is the smoothest transition I have ever seen. It feels like I'm picking two, but I had to pick one. I'm not a simp. I know it's blasphemy to say that I pick MiSide over SCP Containment Breach, but I'm going to go with MiSide because those few details. Let me know your favorite horror game this year that I played. But there is no winner without a loser. Most disappointing game of 2024. I was debating whether to put this or not, but you know, since we have a winner, we had to have a loser. And it's not really a loser, it's just more disappointing, these following games that I played. I really wanted them to be a lot better, so please take this criticism with a grain of salt. And I hope that the companies and the game creators do keep on having prosperous careers. Here are my nominations. The Casting of Frankstone. So this one has a lot of story behind it when I played it. So I took a day off, right? I got some Popeyes, and I was feeling great coming into this game. It was my first game that I played since Until Dawn, the PlayStation edition of Until Dawn, and which was a cinema decision-based horror game. And I was ready. I was ready to enjoy the newest game like that. But they committed ultimate sin in one of these games, these decision-based games. They have unavoidable character death in a decision-based game. And it's not one, it's 2 character deaths. On top of that, choices it felt like didn't really matter. You got railroaded into a main ending. I'm not gonna go too in-depth because if you want to watch it, you can. And then the story was kind of confusing at times. They kept on going between the 1970s and then the modern time, 2024 at that time. There's also like alternate dimensions, which is cool, a concept, and I know it goes into the Dead by Daylight universe, which is what it's trying to tie into. But for its cinematic decision-based game, it didn't really flow well. I feel like they should have just stayed in the 1970s and made a game there. But next, we have Alone in the Dark. I was also so optimistic for this game. It's not a bad game. I like the art. I like the music. I like the voice acting. But the mechanics made it get dragged down a little bit. The sneaking mechanics, I hated the sneak mechanics, because if there was an enemy coming, you could literally crouch right next to them and you would be hidden. It just annoyed the crap out of me. I don't know. I felt like sneak mechanics were not that good. Then the combat was not the best. It was either beat the crap out of the monster by spamming a button, or just shoot the monster because there's bullets and guns. So I felt like it was mainly noir and detective game. They should have got rid of the combat and focused on stealth mechanics, and that would have made it so much better. And then the ending was very confusing and sudden also. So it made me have a little bad taste in my mouth. And finally, we have the Until Dawn remake. Until Dawn's great, but the remake, it's alright. It's not like Until Dawn. There's multiple questionable things they did with the game. Like, they replaced most of the sounds that happened from the game that happened the PlayStation edition to the PC part. They changed the music, like all the music, like the original soundtracks, the beginning score that made it so cool. And then they also changed the lighting, but it wasn't bad, a bad thing to do, but it wasn't like the original. And then they changed the camera angle, which made it less cinematic in a way and scary. I don't know, but a good thing, they had really good animations, and it was able to play on PC, which I love. I was waiting for. There's a lot of PlayStation games that I wish were on PC, but Sony is just like dragging their legs to do it, because I don't know, maybe they just want sole market of those games, even though they'll get a boatload of cash, like literally a Mr. Krabs on his money stack amount of money if they put it to PC. Then also, I heard there were new scenes with this game and new endings and new decisions, but there are barely any. It was kind of like, I don't know if it was marketed. I don't even know where I heard it, but I was like, oh, some of these characters like Jess, Matt, and Emily are going to have more scenes and able to grow more as characters, because they felt like non-main characters when you played them first game, and it still kind of holds here. They did a little bit, but I wish they did a lot more in a remake. Also, they hinted at a sequel for a 9-year-old game. People who asked for a sequel. It had a conclusion to the game. It was done. It was wrapped up in a nice little bow, and you making a sequel, it unties that bow. All the decisions you made, it doesn't matter what you made in the first game, apparently, because now this is retconned to have these characters live and this happen, and it just ruins the game. The first one. I don't know. The biggest stinkers in 2024 are decision-based games, apparently. My award for most disappointing is Casting a Frankstone. It's a really bad indication to see how Directive 8020 might go, but I think they had their hands tied because it was tied in with Dead by Daylight. I hope they learn, so I'm not going to end on a negative note. I'd like to thank you all so much for 2 years on YouTube and all the subscribers that I have right now. It's been a really fun time. I hope to entertain you guys for the foreseeable future and just keep on going. Keep on going. I really, for this year, I want to aim for big numbers for my YouTube channel on year 3. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching this. It's been a real joy for you guys to be part of my channel. So thank you all and have a good day.